Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call of our Janmashtami special Krishna Katha mela going on. And as part of the series, today we are having the topic of Uddhava. 1 minute. Uddhava visits Vrindavan. And to enlighten on this topic, we have with us Her Grace Sukha Sagari Mataji. Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your very precious time and association this morning and enlightening on the topic. Before handing over to you, I would like to hand over the call to Priti Vilasri Mataji and Kirtida Mataji. So, Mataji, please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shyam Supriya Mataji. Thank you so much for handing it over. So we have been in the midst of this Krishna Katha mela, where we have wonderful coordinators giving classes on Krishna Leela. So today we have Her Grace Sukha Sagari Mataji. Sukha Sagari Mataji is a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. She came to Krishna consciousness in 2003. So she has been practicing Krishna consciousness over 2 decades. She is known for her very lovely singing with her sweet honey-like voice. She is also very well-read and she gives beautiful classes. Her recent and most popular classes were the Sundarakanda Ramayana last year and the Bhagavad Gita series, in which she participated this year. She has various services in the Houston temple on a very regular basis, and she's an active participant of the Bhakti Sangha classes as well. Besides this, she also teaches the Madhava Youth Bhajan classes, the summer camp classes, and also the adult Bhagavad Gita outreach classes. And she is also a speaker on the Chaitanya Charitamrita classes on Bhakti Sangha. So we are very, very honored to have Mataji with us on the call. Thank you all so much for joining, and Mataji is going to make a fantastic presentation on Uddhava goes to Vrndavana. It's a very interesting topic. Thank you so much, Sukha Sagari Mataji. It's wonderful to see you. Please take over the call.
Mataji, we cannot hear you.
I said, thank you, Preeti, for that undeserving introduction. I do feel very old. When you say I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for so long. Yeah, but still a neophyte. I mean, just still beginning my journey in the association of such exalted devotees as all of you. And by the kind mercy of Kirtida Mataji and Priti Vilasni Mataji, I always wanted to learn more about Uddhava. So I just took this opportunity to learn more and purify myself. So please forgive me, if there are gaps in my learning and I am not up to the mark. The other presenters so far have been so fabulous that I do have the jitters. I mean, what am I going to speak today? With all your support and encouragement, I'll try to speak a few words by the mercy of Shri Guru and Gauranga. So this is a very interesting topic, a little away from all the other topics that have been discussed so far, like the pastimes of Lord Krishna, overpowering and defeating demons, and performing very humanly impossible or unbelievable acts, like lifting the Govardhan hill, and so many acts which we cannot understand the inconceivable potency of the Lord. So this is a little away from all that major theme of Vinashaya cha dushkritam, as he says. He comes to annihilate these demons. So this is a little different. It shows the softer side of Lord Krishna and how he is so personal in his relationships. So I would like to start with that note. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Giriraj Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhyascha patitana pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we will give a brief introduction to who this personality Uddhava is. And as you can see on the slides, I have put up some slides with some pictures and also some verses. So it's easy for us to follow along as we listen. And in the 10th canto, when Uddhava goes to visit Vrindavan, that time there is a short purport in which Srila Prabhupada mentions that the first point which I was there on the slide, that Uddhava is the son of Vasudev's brother Deva Bhaga. So this is actually quoted in the Sri Hari Vamsa, and this is mentioned there in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So that's like a brief introduction. And he got his learning from Brihaspati, none other than Brihaspati, the guru of the demigods. And as we see in the next verse, Nodhavonvapi manyuno yadgune nadrita prabhu atomad vayunam lokam grahayam ihat tishtatu. In this, Lord Krishna says, Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in the world in this world, in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So, Sri Uddhava, the personality of Uddhava, some conversations which Vidura had with Uddhava, they appear in the 3rd canto, and then the majority of it is in the 11th canto, where Lord Krishna preaches the Uddhava Gita to Uddhava. And there is like a couple of chapters in the 10th canto where Lord Krishna sends Uddhava as a messenger to the gopis. And that is what we're going to see today, the 2 chapters, 46 and 47 from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are a few mentions of Uddhava, like I said, in the 3rd canto, where when Vidura, he goes on a pilgrimage because he's slighted by his own brother and his nephew. Duryodhana calls him the son of a servant maid and insults him. So Vidura very cleverly, as a great devotee, takes this opportunity to go out on a pilgrimage. And so he covers a lot of places and he goes towards the western provinces of India, like the Gujarat, Kuru Jangala, as they say it in the Bhagavatam. And then he comes to the bank of river Yamuna. And that is where he meets Uddhava. So as soon as he sees Uddhava, his heart is very warmed, because Uddhava is a great devotee of the Lord. And we can see in the next translation, which I have put on the slides, in a little bit how Prabhupada actually says that because Vidura, who is a great devotee of the Lord himself, he actually proved it, or he actually establishes the fact that Uddhava is on the very highest platform of devotional service or bhakti. So when Vidura meets Uddhava, he's very curious because he had just been to Prabhasa Kshetra before that, and he had heard about how the Lord is actually leaving his, I mean, is wrapping up or winding up his pastimes on this planet Earth and going back to his abode. So his heart was saddened, and but he again wants to hear this from the mouth of Uddhava. He wants to learn more about what happened. So he again approaches Lord Krishna. I mean, he approaches Uddhava with this question as to how are everybody doing there back in Dwarka. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that it is generally when we are saddened or when we don't want to believe something, or when we find something very hard to digest, we tend to repeatedly ask it, right? Like supposing I'm going through a problem, I'll tend to uh, like discuss it with my family more and more, like the same topic, like morning I'd be discussing and then afternoon and evening. So just, to pacify my heart like that. So Prabhupada says that Vidura was also very, very saddened by this fact. And so he was trying to, it was a psychological question more than a practical question, because he knew exactly what had happened because he had heard about it already, but he wanted to hear it again from Uddhava. So at that time, Uddhava, he describes, he goes into a transcendental ecstasy, and he has this symptoms of separation from Lord Krishna. And that is what is being mentioned in this 3.2.5 translation. It was so observed by Vidura that Uddhava had all the transcendental bodily changes due to total ecstasy, and he was trying to wipe away tears of separation from his eyes. Thus, Uddhava could understand that, Vidura could understand that Uddhava had completely assimilated extensive love for the Lord. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes that Uddhava was on a very high platform of pure devotional service, just like Arjuna. So Krishna actually preached to Arjuna, and also he preached to Uddhava in the later parts of 11th canto, though it is actually mentioned in the third canto. The details, the much more, it's discussed in much more detail in the 11th canto, where Krishna imparts this message of bhakti and Krishna consciousness to Uddhava. And then he tells Uddhava to actually stay back and preach this message. So we will go over that part a little bit later as it comes later. Now I will move on to the next slide. So here we'll start with the context of where Krishna is actually asking Uddhava to go to Vrindavan with a letter. So when Akrura goes to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balarama with him, the gopis, as we can see in the first verse, they were lamenting, and they were very sad by the separation, and they became like almost like dolls, like still dolls like that, and they couldn't bear this separation. But somehow Nanda Maharaj gathered the courage and sent them to Mathura, thinking that after the killing of Kamsa, his sons would return back. So, so Krishna goes to Mathura, and there he actually, breaks the sacrificial bow, and then he also, kills the elephant Kuvalayapida, and also has this wrestling match with Mushtika and Chanura, and eventually he kills his uncle Kansa. He drags him by his hair, from the dais where his uncle Kamsa was sitting, and he throws him on the ground, and then he gets onto him, and Srila Prabhupada says that just by Krishna hitting him with the fist, Kamsa actually succumbed, and he died that way, actually, just by Krishna's fist, hitting Krishna hitting Kamsa with his fist. So, but also, like we see in this translation, 1044:39, it's an interesting one. Kamsa had always been disturbed by the thought that the Supreme Lord was to kill him. Therefore, when drinking, eating, moving about, sleeping, or breathing, the king had always seen the Lord before him with the disc weapon in his hand. Thus, Kamsa achieved the rare boon of attaining a form like the Lord's. So it is said here that Kamsa achieved Sarupya Mukti. And elsewhere also in one of the purports where Uddhava is being described, later when you see the gopis described, like he looks very much like Lord Krishna, He resembles Lord Krishna closely in all the way, in his physical appearance and everything. So one place Srila Prabhupada also mentions that Uddhava also had got the Sarupya, Mukti, this boon from Lord Krishna. And so that's why he was so much resembling Lord Krishna. It's, yeah, then at this point, after, like I said, after Krishna, he kills Kamsa, and then he rescues his guru's son, and brings him back from death. And after all this, one day Krishna sits and he is very, very worried. And he's kind of in a sad mood that, he's missing all his uh, um, uh, his parents and all the gopis at Vrindavan and all the gopas and everybody, his life at Vrindavan, and he's very saddened. And naturally, he cannot discuss so many things with his older brother Balarama. So Uddhava, he is a very confidential associate of Krishna, and he is actually his cousin. So then Krishna calls Uddhava and tells him, he reveals his heart and tells him that he's feeling very sad, and Uddhava should take this message of Lord Krishna to the gopis, and he should go to Vrindavan. So at that time, we can see from these two verses why Uddhava was chosen by Lord Krishna. Here, Sri Shukavacha वृष्णीनां प्रवरो मन्त्री कृष्णस्य दैतसखा शिष्य बृहस्पते साक्षात् उद्धवो बुद्धिसत्तमः. Sukadev Goswami said, the supremely intelligent Uddhava was the best counselor of the Vrishni dynasty, a beloved friend of Lord Krishna and a direct disciple of Brihaspati. So, specific attention has been drawn to this word mantri in this verse, because mantri is like a minister who is able to negotiate very well. So he has this art of talking, or he is very well qualified to make peace, or to conduct discussions, or so in that sense, um, Krishna actually chooses Uddhava because, like it's explained here, the supremely Buddhi Sattamaha. Buddhi Sattamaha means supremely intelligent Uddhava. He was the best counselor because Krishna thought that he would be the best person to convey this message to the gopis. Also, we see that earlier we had seen when Krishna was winding up his pastimes in Dwarka, and he was going back to his abode. At that time also, Uddhava was actually in a great mood of separation from the Lord, and he requested that why he should not go along with the Lord. And at that time also, Lord Krishna advises Uddhava to stay back. He actually tells him to meditate on him and stay back and preach this message. He just preached the Uddhava Gita to him, and he wants him to stay back. So at that time, Uddhava goes to Badrikashrama and performs meditation. So Krishna again chose Uddhava as this messenger, so that he could go to Badrikashram and enlighten all those sages there, because a lot of sages used to go there for meditation and to, elevate themselves to a higher spiritual platform. So Krishna thought that in his, when he's not there on this planet Earth in his pastimes at that time, Uddhava could spread this message. So he thought he's the best person to go as this messenger to Badrikashrama. And so that's why he tells Uddhava to stay back and spread this message of the science of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada describes that we can see how Krishna has so much confidence in Uddhava as a messenger. We see that how he has picked him to go and also convey this message to the gopis. And also he leaves Uddhava back, to spread this message of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says that by all these qualifications. It's a very confidential assignment. It's not an easy assignment, right? To do such a kind of messenger service. So this kind of a confidential service to Krishna can be obtained only by pure devotional service. And Prabhupada very encouragingly states in the purport that even if we perform, like devotional service at a pure level, we could also try and become confidential associates of Lord Krishna and do such services for Lord Krishna. So it's not an ordinary thing that he was just picked like that, but Uddhava had several qualifications because of which he was actually picked by Lord Krishna to do so many of these activities during his pastimes on earth. Lord Krishna said in the next verse, "Dear gentle Uddhava, go to Vraja and give pleasure to our parents, and also relieve the gopis suffering in separation from me by giving them my message." So this is what Lord Krishna says. He says, he gives a letter for the gopis and tells Uddhava to go and pacify his parents and also the gopis, because he knows that these gopis are in the most highest form of separation, as they are the most exalted devotees of the Lord. So they are experiencing the highest form of separation from Lord Krishna. And he also very well knows, and actually it is described here that um, Krishna actually enters and takes over the bodies of these gopis, because otherwise, in separation of Krishna, they would not even survive. So he actually enters and takes over the bodies, and that's how these gopis are still functioning. So that is the amount of transcendental love the gopis have for Krishna. That it's described as the topmost of all kinds of prema, Krishna prema. Moving on. Yeah, this is the verse. "The minds of those gopis are always absorbed in me, and their very lives are ever devoted to me. For my sake, they have abandoned everything related to their bodies, renouncing ordinary happiness in this life, as well as religious duties necessary for such happiness in the next life. I alone am their dear most beloved, and indeed their very self. I personally sustain such devotees who for my sake give up all worldly duties." So we can see Krishna establishes this fact. But how will the gopis, live in separation from Krishna? He says, "I personally sustain these devotees who for my sake give up all worldly duties." So many times we have this apprehension as to, should I be giving this up, especially when we are very new to Krishna consciousness. We have this question, like, what all do I need to give up to take up this process of Krishna consciousness? Will I be able to do it? I mean, does this match my schedule? Does this match my lifestyle? Does this, is it too far away from my lifestyle? And such questions do come to our mind, but there's always this the scriptures give us this kind of assurance and reassurance all the time, that how when we give up anything for Krishna, he actually takes care and he protects us and he preserves all these things for us. He personally sustains such devotees who for my sake give up all worldly duties. So we should try and remove this apprehension, this fear from our hearts when we're trying to do any service, that am I giving up something? What if I give up something and I'm not able to survive in this material world? So these are very good lessons for us to understand how the Lord actually sustains his devotees in any circumstances. The next one. "My dear Uddhava, for those women of Gokula, I am the most cherished object of love. Thus, when they remember me who am so far away, they are overwhelmed by the anxiety of separation." So, for this is a very simple definition of pure bhakti, which is being given here. He says that I am the most cherished object of love. So this is what is actually Krishna bhakti means. When all your the whole object of your love is just Lord Krishna. At that time you have reached that stage of pure devotional service, where nothing else appeals to you, and everything about Lord Krishna, that's all appeals to you. So this is a very simple but a very powerful definition of what pure bhakti is. And for the gopis, Krishna was the only person in their sight, in their hearts, in their mind, and they always thought about Krishna and his activities, his pastimes, but and nothing else. They, everything else was actually they were oblivious to everything else around them, except think about Krishna, think about his pastimes, talk about his pastimes. So when a person whose most cherished object of love is Lord Krishna, at that time, this like this verse says, at that time the person is said to have achieved pure devotional service. So this is a very simple definition which is given here. We'll move on. So at this point, I skipped a few verses. So at this point, Uddhava, he actually goes to Vrindavan in his chariot. And when he goes to Vrindavan, at that time it's around evening time. So these gopas and gopis, they are all going back after herding their cows. So there's a lot of dust which has actually come up, because when they go on their cow, when they take their cows and bulls, it when they run, it creates a lot of dust in the atmosphere. So there's a lot of dust, and at that time Uddhava goes in his chariot. The chariot is significant. He goes in his chariot, and he goes to Nanda Maharaj's house first. And due to the dust of all these the cows and the calves, um, the people did not see, the Brajavasis, they did not see the chariot of Uddhava actually. So he goes there to Nanda Maharaj's house, and Nanda Maharaj is very happy to see, because this is Lord Krishna's cousin, and he's very, very happy to see how he treats him with a lot of respect. And he has, Prabhupada describes that, in Vedic tradition, they wash the feet of the guest. So at this point, because Uddhava is like in the relation of a son almost to Nanda Maharaj, he does not wash his feet by himself personally, but he has one of his men wash his feet. And then he feeds him very well and takes care of him. And then um, he talks to Uddhava about Krishna's pastimes, about what all he did, so many pastimes, how he killed the demons, how he lifted the Govardhan hill, and all these pastimes he talks to Uddhava. And he's, because they're always cherishing and they're always remembering Lord Krishna, and they don't know of anything else to speak, because Krishna is the object of their love. So Nanda Maharaj describes so many things, and then he asks Uddhava, does that Krishna still remember me? Does he still remember his mother and all the things he has done in Vrindavan? Does he still think of us? Does he think of his friends here? Like that. So in this verse, we see in the first verse, iti samsmritya samsmritya Nanda Krishnanu Ati Utkantho Bhavat Tushnim Prema Prasara Vifala. Shukadev Goswami said, thus intensely remembering Krishna again and again, Nanda Maharaj, his mind completely attached to the Lord, felt extreme anxiety and fell silent, overcome by the strength of his love. So when Nanda Maharaj was describing these pastimes, actually Mother Yashoda, it is said in the Bhagavatam that she never stopped crying after Krishna left. It was so painful for her, so painful, the separation of her child from her, that she never stopped crying. And so when Nanda Maharaj describes this pastimes, Mother Yashoda, who was sitting there, as we can see in the next verse, यशोदा वन्यमानानि पुत्रस्य चरितानि च शृण्वन्ति अश्रुणि अवाश्रक्षीत् स्नेहसूतपयोधरा. As Mother Yashoda heard the descriptions of her son's activity, she poured out her tears and milk flowed from her breast out of love. So we can see the pure love Mother Yashoda has, that she was just spellbound just listening to the pastimes, to Krishna's pastimes her husband was narrating. And so both of them were in deep sorrow of separation from the Lord. And Uddhava sees all this, and he is actually um, I mean, he is in one sense floored by this kind of devotion, the parental devotion that Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, have for Krishna, that he says in this next verse. We see Uddhava said, "O respectful Nanda, certainly you and Mother Yashoda are the most praiseworthy persons in the entire world, since you have developed such a loving attitude toward Lord Narayana, the spiritual master of all living beings." So he says, he realizes the high position of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, and he says that, he is in actually in shock, and in a kind of shock and ecstasy when he sees the kind of devotion and love Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda have um, for their son Krishna. So Krishna puts, his associates in this, by his Yogamaya potency, he puts them in a trance so that they don't recognize him as the Supreme Lord. Even after, earlier, even after killing Kamsa, Devaki and Vasudev, they know they kind of recognize the position of Lord Krishna. And when Krishna and Balram go to see Devaki and Vasudev after he has killed Kamsa, they offer obeisances because they know that this is none other than the Lord. So again, Krishna feels embarrassed, and he, by his Yogamaya potency, he puts the curtain again over their eyes, and so again, Vasudev and Devaki look at Krishna as their own son. So Krishna does this, because he doesn't want this kind of awe and reverence. He loves personal relationships and all these rasas. So that's why he again, covers them with the Yoga Maya and makes them forget that he is the supreme personality of Godhead, and because he wants to enjoy this kind of vatsalya rasa with his parent. So here also we see that how Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda, they are in so much of vatsalya rasa with Krishna. At some points we have seen in the other pastimes where Mother Yashoda kind of got, well, gets a question in her mind: is this, my baby Krishna, or is this somebody else, the Supreme Lord? So again, Krishna puts the Yoga Maya curtain in front of them and makes them forget his position as the Supreme Lord. So here, Uddhava sees this, and he praises, he offers heaps of praises for Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda on how much love and devotion they have for Krishna. Moving on. Sri Uddhava said, "O respectful Nanda, certainly you and Mother Yashoda are the most praiseworthy persons in the entire world, since you have developed such a loving attitude toward Lord Narayana, the spiritual master of all living beings." So at this point, when he sees them, because Krishna has told Uddhava to go and pacify his parents, so when Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda are so emotional and teary, so Uddhava starts giving them some philosophy at this point. So he says that, he quotes this Narayana Akhila Guru, the spiritual master of all living beings. So he kind of brings in some philosophy at this point, as we'll see in the next paragraph also. For him, no one is especially dear or despicable, superior or inferior, and yet he is not indifferent to anyone. He is free from all desire for respect and yet gives respect to all others. He has no mother, no father, no wife, children, or other relatives. No one is related to him, and yet no one is stranger to him. He has no material body and no birth. So he gives all this impersonal philosophy to them. But Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda are still not convinced. I mean, they just nod their heads, and then they retire for the day, and then Uddhava, the next morning he actually tries to take off to go and meet the gopis, because he has to convey Krishna's message to the gopis. So though Uddhava speaks all this philosophy, Nanda Maharaja, they're not convinced, because their rasa or their mood is very different, and it just falls flat on the ears. So let's see what happens next. Okay, I skipped a few verses. So in the morning, like I said, when the gopis are out, milking their cows, and churning butter, doing their daily activities. At that time, like I said, the previous evening, there was all this dust which was created by the cows and the calves. So nobody observed actually the chariot of Uddhava. But the next morning, they see that there's a nice sparkling chariot in front of Nanda Maharaja's house. And again, the gopis are very fearful. They're like, oh my God, not again, because Akrura also had come in a very opulent chariot. So when they see this chariot, now what does Kamsa? They knew that Kamsa is already dead, and then they think, don't tell me Akrura is back again, or or does he want to take our flesh now? Does he want to offer oblations to Kamsa? Now what does he want of us? He took away Lord Krishna already. Now there is no life in us. There is nothing in us. So now what more does he want? So when they see the chariot, all these fears, they relate this chariot to these very sad and painful incident of Akrura taking away Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. So when they see this chariot of Uddhava, again, all those thoughts and feelings come back to them, and they're like, oh my God, now he's back again. What does he want? What more is left here? There's nothing. We are hardly holding on to our lives here, All these questions come into their mind. So at that time, when they see Uddhava there, they see that maybe I skipped a few verses here. Just 1 second. I'm just trying to see if I put them somewhere. Anyways, yeah, I skipped a few slides, I think. I don't know what I did. So when they see Krishna, when they see Uddhava, and they see that this Uddhava is so closely resembling actually Krishna, and they are very attracted, to this form of Uddhava, because he is so closely resembling Krishna. Prabhupada says in the purport that when the devotee, he actually takes remnants of the Lord's paraphernalia, like when we smell the flowers which are offered to the Lord, or when we take the charnamrit, or when we partake of prasadam which has been offered to the Lord. So this actually purifies our senses, from these material afflictions, and then we become very much similar to the Lord in qualities and things like that. So Uddhava, from his young age, he had been taking the remnants of Lord Krishna. So he used to wear Lord Krishna's clothes. He used to wear, like the garlands which were used by Lord Krishna. And so many things he did, he took the remnants of Lord Krishna. So, and his form was so similar to Lord Krishna. And this is described very beautifully in some purports as to how, when we take of all these, the remnants of the Lord's paraphernalia, we also are very purified, and, we get all these qualities, divine qualities, when we are purified and offer devotional service. So when they see Uddhava like this, he's so closely resembling Krishna, they're actually very intrigued. And then they take Uddhava to a nice quiet corner, and then they ask him, why did Krishna send you here? Couldn't he not have come by himself? I mean, what was the need to send you here? What is he trying to prove by this point? Is he so much, taken in by the love of those women, there, that he, he cannot come and visit us personally. Okay, leave us alone. I mean, it's okay if he doesn't care for us, but even his parents, doesn't he have any love for his parents who cared and who took care of him so much, and who nurtured him so much? So why did Krishna send you after all? Like, and when he could have come himself. I mean, we are very sure that that he is very much attracted to all those women there, and that's why he has just sent you here. Like that, these gopis actually, they tauntingly talk to Uddhava. So when it's explained there that when they take him to this quiet corner to actually talk to him, Uddhava, very respectfully he sits there, because he's surrounded by this great exalted gopis around him. They're the topmost devotees of Lord Krishna. So Uddhava, he just very respectfully, he has the utmost respect for these ladies of Raja, and he sees how these, they have the purest form of love for Lord Krishna, and they don't know anything other than Lord Krishna. All they do is talk about Lord Krishna, his pastimes, and so much of separation they're experiencing from Lord Krishna. So at that time, Uddhava sees all this, and he tries to tell them, that no, no, Krishna has sent me this a letter, and he wants you to. He wanted me to convey this message to you, and that's why I have come here. So the gopis are still not happy. At that time, what happens? It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam that um, Srimati Radharani, when she sees Uddhava, she actually goes into this ecstatic trance, like a divine madness, and she starts talking to a bumblebee there, and that is recorded in the form. There are 10 verses, 11:47:12 through 11:47:21, and which actually describe this transcendental madness of Srimati Radharani. And this is actually mentioned also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, as I have put it on the slide, that in the Adi Lila 4th chapter 108, the verse 108, and also in the Antya Leela, towards Antya Leela, where we see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he expresses these past times of transcendental madness and separation from Krishna. This is actually likened to the how Srimati Radharani, she feels the same kind of emotions when she sees Uddhava, the transcendental madness of separation as it is described. So Radhikara bhavaya che Uddhava darshane se bhave mata prabhu rahe ratri dine. Just as Radhika entered a state of divine madness in Mahabhav upon seeing Uddhava, Mahaprabhu was all day and night in that same state of divine madness in separation from Krishna. So that is the analogy which is given. So when Srimati Radharani, she sees Krishna, she goes in, she sees Uddhava, she goes into this transcendental madness. And that is the kind of separation, the highest kind of separation, which Lord Chaitanya also experiences in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there are these 10 verses of Brahmara Gita. They are very esoteric and very, very high level advanced topic. So I'm not going to go into them. But if it is okay with all of you, I could, perhaps recite these verses now. And actually, I learned them in a tune. So I'll just. Can you all see my slide?
Yes, Mataji, we can.
Okay, yeah. So let me just sing the 10 verses, though I'm not qualified to explain or even touch these verses, but just for the, just to please the Lord and his devotees, I try to sing these 10 verses. Please give me just a minute. I want to just drink some water before I do it. This is, if I know if somebody has access to the Veda base, they can project it on the screen. 10:47:12. to 21.
Mataji, in your presentation, you have written 11:47:12. That was also, I
Oh,
was
I'm
thinking.
sorry if I did the mistake, Mataji. This is actually 10. I'm so sorry about that.
You can display, Mataji, those verses?
Actually, I have them written together because I'll be reciting, because on Veda base, I have to scroll down quite a bit. That's why I did not. I mean, is it possible for somebody to display, or I could just, sing? Whatever works. Okay, without wasting more time, I will just. गोप्यवाच मधुपाकिटवबन्धो मा स्पृशाङ्घ्रिं सपत्न्याः कुचविलुलितमाला कुङ्कुमश्मश्रुभिर्नः वहतु मधुपतिस्तन् मानिनीनां प्रसादम् यदु सदसि विडम्ब्यं यस्य दूतस्त्वमीदृक् सकृदधरसुधां स्वां मोहिनीं पाययित्वा सुमनसैव सद्याः तत्यजेस्मान् भवादृक् परिचरति कथं तत्पादपद्मं नु पद्मा ह्यपिबत हृतचेता हि उत्तमश्लोक जल्पैः किमिह बहुषढङ्ग्रे गायसि त्वं यदूनाम् अधिपतिमग्रहाणाम् अग्रतो नः पुराणम् विजयसखसखीनां गीयतां तत्प्रसङ्गः क्षपितकुचरुजस्ते कल्पयन्तीष्ठम् इष्टाः दिवि भुवि चरसायां का स्त्रियस्तद्दुरापाः कपटरुचिरहासा भ्रूविजृम्भस्य या स्युः चरणरज उपास्ते यस्य भूतेर्वयं का अपि च कृपणपक्षे उत्तमश्लोक शब्दाः विसृज शिरसि पादं वेद्म्यहं चाटुकारैः अनुनय विदुषस्ते भेत्या दौत्यैर्मुकुन्दात् स्वकृत इह विशिष्टापत्यपत्यन्यलोका व्यसृजत कृतचेता किं नु सन्धेयम् अस्मिन् मृगयुरिव कपीन्द्रं विव्यधे लुप्तधर्मा स्त्रियमकृतविरूपा स्त्रीजितः कामयानां बलिमपि बलिमत्वा वेष्टयत् ध्वांशवत्यः तदलमसितसख्यैः दुस्त्यजस्तत् कथार्थः यदनुचरितलीला कर्णपीयूषविप्रूढ सकृदधनविधूता द्वन्द्वधर्मा विनष्टा सपदि गृहकुटुम्बं दीनमुत्सृज्य दीना बहव इह विहङ्गा भिक्षुचर्यां चरन्ति वायमृतमिह जिह्मा व्याहृतं श्रद्धदानाः कुलीकरुतमिवाज्ञा कृष्णवद्वो हरिण्यः ददृशुरसकृते तन्नखस्पर्शतीव्रा स्मररुज उपमन्त्रिन् भण्यताम् अन्यवार्ता प्रियसख पुनरागाः प्रेयसा प्रेषितः किं वरय किमनुरुन्धे मानिनीयोऽसि मेऽङ्गा नयसि कथमिहास्मान् दुस्त्यजद्वन्द्वपार्श्वम् सततमुरसि सौम्या श्रीर्वधूः साकमास्ते अपि बत मधुपूर्या आर्यपुत्रोऽधुनास्ते स्मरति स पितृगेहान् सौम्या बन्धुंश गोपान् क्वचिदपि स कथानः किङ्करीणां गृहीते भुजमगुरुसुगन्धं मूर्ध्नधास्यत् kada nu. So this is the Brahmar Gita, and we'll continue with the class. So this, like I was explaining earlier, Radharani, Srimati Radharani, she goes into this transcendental man and talks to the bumblebee, and she thinks that that is Uddhava, and she talks so many things to the bumblebee, and this is what is explained in the Brahmara Gita, and I'm not going into the details of this Brahmara Gita. So all this happens, and then the gopis say that, okay, read out this letter of Lord Krishna, and what happens. So Uddhava reads out the letter, and then in which Lord Krishna actually says that, the love goes fonder, in separation and things like that. So the gopis, they are not very convinced by all this, and then they say that, okay, all these things which you're saying, that the love goes fonder, you go and tell the ladies of Mathura, when Krishna leaves them and goes for other women, they'll be crying. At that time, you go and tell them and try to convince them with this kind of logic, that love goes fonder when in separation. Here we are finding it difficult to breathe and live, and you're giving us this kind of logic. So then again, there is like some kind of philosophy also, which is mentioned by the Lord, so which I've given in these verses. The Supreme Lord said, "You are never actually separated from me, for I am the soul of all creation. Just as the elements of nature, ether, air, fire, water, and earth are present in every created thing, so I am present within everyone's mind, life, air, and senses, and also within the physical elements and the modes of material nature." According to the intelligent authorities, this is the ultimate conclusion of all Vedas, as well as the practice of yoga, Sankhya, renunciation, austerity, and sense control and truthfulness, just as the sea is the ultimate destination of all rivers. And then he goes on to say what I just mentioned: by the actual reason why I, the beloved object of your sight, have stayed far away from you is that I wanted to intensify your meditation upon me and thus draw your minds closer to me. So this is what Krishna explains in the letter, which Uddhava actually reads out to the gopis. So there's another example which is again given, in some other purports, not these purports, but so many places this kind of mode of separation has been explained by the acharyas, where the gold, the value of the gold, pure gold, is known, when you put it in the fire. So Krishna actually shows the purity, or the highest, the position of these gopis who are in the highest platform of love, and he puts them through this fire of separation. So many such reasons are thrown all over the Shastras, but the gopis don't seem to be convinced, and they are like, okay, go and tell all these stories to the women of Mathura. They will be convinced, but not us, you cannot give us all these stories. So they are still not convinced at all with all this. So at that time, Uddhava sees this topmost love, which the gopis and the parents, the Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they have for for Krishna, and he is actually so much taken aback. He is like, he's just so amazed by all this which is happening there. And then it's time to, he spends a couple of months there in Vrindavan, and they exchange more pastimes of Krishna. They're talking more about Krishna, his pastimes, what all he did there in Braja. And he also enjoys this very exalted association of these devotees, the topmost devotees of the Lord. So he stays back there and gives some kind of consolation to them, and tries to discuss the pastimes. And that's how they spend 2 months, around 2 months there. And then after this, the time has come for Uddhava to actually go back to Vrindavan. So let's see what happens then. So at this time, he goes and offers, Uddhava, he offers some prayers to these most exalted devotees of the Braja. And I just quoted a couple, one prayer there. He says, I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Lord Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. Sri Uddhava, having established the glories of the gopis in the previous verses, now directly offers his obeisances to them. According to Sri Vaishnava Toshni, Sri Uddhava did not offer such respect even to Lord Krishna's queens in Dwarka. Like I also mentioned earlier, he has the utmost respect for these ladies of Braja, because they are so simple hearted. In one of the purports also is described that, when the gopis, they are not so sophisticated, or in their approach, and they just, as soon as they see Uddhava, they take him to a quiet place to ask more about Krishna. So they are more eager to know. They don't care for he's a messenger, he's just come from there, would he like it? I mean, they don't care for all those kind of etiquette, but they're just curious to know, what has Krishna sent him for? Why is he here? What does he want now? So so they are in that sense a little unsophisticated, that they take Uddhava to a corner and ask these questions. But like I had mentioned earlier, Uddhava has the highest respect for these. So very respectfully, he sits down amidst the gopis and explains all these things which we just discussed so far. So we see in this again, we see that how Uddhava is being explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, quoting reference to other Shastras, that how Uddhava had the utmost respect for the gopis. So while leaving, Uddhava, he offers these prayers, in praise of Nanda Maharaj and the gopis, extolling their very high platform of devotional service. And at that time, he wants to take a leave of Nanda Maharaj and the gopis and go back to Mathura to explain to Lord Krishna what has happened. So Nanda and the other cowherds said, may our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his names, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. So on this note, how Nanda Maharaj and the cowherds, they want to meditate on Lord Krishna all the time. They want to take the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, by mind, body, words, and BMW, body, mind, and words. So that way, I also humbly offer my prayers to Lord Krishna, and I would like to pause here, and I would be amiss if I didn't offer my gratitude to Kaumodiki Mataji as soon as I had texted her that, Mataji, I would like to speak on this topic. And Mataji, without wasting even like within I think the same day itself, she called me at night, and for 1 hour she gave me a class on Uddhava, and she told me what all points I could discuss. I just wrote them down, And she opened my eyes to this topic. So I'm very, very grateful to Mataji for taking the time and explaining to me. And if I have spoken anything, it's my many thanks to Mataji, and also Radhika Kasturi Mataji. Without even me asking, she always helps me a lot. And for this also, she immediately scanned all the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur purports and sent them to me, within 2 seconds, as soon as I just, told that I'll be speaking on this topic. By her own dint, she came forward and helped me. So I'm so grateful and indebted to these Matajis, because of whom I got some idea of what to speak today. And I would be so much, I mean, I would be doing so much wrong if I didn't thank Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. I just parroted his 1 hour class, all the shlokas he has quoted. So I just jotted them down. And so it's just a parrot. If you listen to his class, you will know that I've just, I mean, of course, his potency, he could convey more and made more impact, but I just followed his footsteps there. So I am so eternally indebted to all these devotees who helped me present today's class, because otherwise I'm at a total loss. I absolutely had no idea of the role of Uddhava in these pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam. It was always a big enigma to me, and I wanted to read. So I'm grateful to all you devotees on the call, and I pray again that I take, like Nanda Maharaj says, I take shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet and use my faculties in his service and the service of the devotees. So I'd like to pause here. So Uddhava then, after this, he goes back to Krishna and he relates all that happened in Vraja to Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sagari Mataji. What a beautiful class. I really learned so much today about why specifically Uddhava, the mantri part of it, how a mantri is a good counselor, the meaning of a mantri, and then how Uddhava actually met with the parents of Krishna, and then the mood of the gopis and the Brahmara Geet. It was so beautifully sung. It was really, really beautiful. I want to tell you one thing. So you were singing the Brahmara Geet, and I was just coming here. I was going up the elevator, and there is some sort of noise, background noise in this building that is like the humming of bees. So I was on earphones. I was listening to your Brahmara Geet singing, and the person next to me said, "Oh, it sounds like a beehive." So I thought, oh, maybe my earphones are not working and he's able to hear you sing. And then I was like, yes, I just said yes. And then I took off my earphones. And then I was hearing that the entire atmosphere was really like a beehive because there was a background noise that was going on. It's so beautiful how Krishna, I mean, he's just so amazing. You were singing the Brahmara Geet, and this entire atmosphere was like a beehive. It was really like that, and everyone was talking about it.
Yeah,
So it's
so I
amazing.
Prabhupada says there is a difference between like learning and realization. Perhaps I'm just learning and you're realizing it, you're experiencing it there. So you're more purer that way. And
Oh, no,
so
no.
you're getting practical experience while I'm just mouthing, some words.
Not
It's
at all,
not
not
in
at
there,
all.
so.
It was just the arrangement of Krishna to make it sound live and real as you were singing. So it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And thank you so much. There were so many things that you had covered from the commentaries. That was so interesting to me. It was extremely interesting, and a lot of realizations as to how Uddhava actually paid obeisances to the gopis, and he would, I mean, as the topmost, not even to the queens of Dwarka in one sense. So everything was amazing, Mataji. Thank you so much. Your slides were also very beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Preeti, for always encouraging me. It's
And
like
of
I say,
course,
you
I
give the
really,
potency, so.
no. I was just thinking about the background work of all the devotees who help each other. Such a beautiful thing, right? Like the way they immediately respond and help each other. That I really appreciate you expressing that gratitude towards the end. Definitely, we are a teamwork. So thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, I should have done that in the beginning, but somehow I got carried away. But
better at the end, so that no one misses it.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji. All glories to
Hare Krishna,
Prabhupada.
Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Beautiful class. Beautiful class. I have always wanted to hear the Brahma Gita sung. You know, we always hear it chanted in different places, but nobody ever has ever sung it. And it was beautiful. I was just thinking, you know, this is how the gopis were singing. You know, they say that the Bhagavatam is just it's a verse, right? A song. So that's how they were singing it also. So you can imagine their mood during that time of how they're feeling when they were singing this, and all the insights you gave about Uddhava, about Nanda Maharaj, and that whole idea about, you know, the separation makes it stronger. We understand that intellectually, but I can just imagine how painful it must be, because if we're missing somebody, you know, in a material sense, some relationship that we've missed them for some reason, and we know how painful that is. We can imagine how much more painful it is when the gopis are missing Krishna. So thank you very much. Beautiful class, beautiful.
Thank
And
you,
if we could get that one part, you know, just the song, I mean, song part separated out, or if you can sing it and put it so we could have it to be able to play, that would be wonderful. Hare
Sure,
Krishna.
Mataji. I will try
Yeah,
to.
maybe a separate recording, Mataji, so that we can upload it.
Yeah, so that we can listen to it. Thank you.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you for your kind encouraging words. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada. I'm just parroting all what they have said. So.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji, Dandavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very, very beautiful class. I don't want to waste time by adding the same words that already Mataji already said. But the class was extremely beautiful. The insights of Uddhava and the commentaries, they were awesome. And the way you put it. And yes, icing on the cake was your beautiful melodious singing of Brahmar Geet, which was really awesome. And I too say that, you know, please record it separately. And you can record it and at your leisure, and then you can send it so we can circulate that too. So thank you, Mataji. Thank you for all your hard work, for all your efforts, and for your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your kind words. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada. Are there any other questions, Mataji?
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji. Very, very wonderful class. And singing, just like talking.
Mataji, we cannot hear you. Ajji Komodiki Mataji, not able to hear.
I could barely come together, closer.
Yeah, I'm not able to hear you, Mataji. It's very faint.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavad Pranam.
Very nice class. And also I love the Brahma Gita. Never Brahma Gita. I heard, this is the first time I heard, and it was very, very nice. So I'm glad that it's going to be separated and also put it in for us to hear. And anyone else and everybody can hear. Thank you, Mataji. Very, very wonderful. You gave so many nice points.
Mataji, I just told whatever you taught me, Mataji. So, yeah, I just jotted down when you were saying the other day, and just based on those points, I just gave the class. Thanks to you, Mataji.
Well, whatever I say little, but you have done so much work toward it. So it's very nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for always encouraging me and helping me so much, Mataji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
And I'm very glad that I could do little service for you, because you are doing so much service, seva. I couldn't do much. So that much is okay. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji, Dandavad Pranam. This is Padmasaki. Mataji is like thinking, whose voice is this?
Yeah, I can recognize now.
Very nice topic, Mataji. Very sweet topic. Uddhav visiting Vrindavan. Thank you so much for sharing wonderful points. It was a beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
that
ma'am.
beautiful singing
You
also.
you did Akrura, right? Akrura went to Vrindavan.
Ha, yes.
So I just tried to take some points from your class.
Oh, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sagari Mataji. Beautiful, beautiful class, Mataji. Yesterday you are telling I did not even prepare. I have to prepare. So beautiful. When did you make PPT? And so beautiful singing. Very nice, detailed class, Mataji. You are always awesome. Thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful class.
Thank you, Vinita. Am I depriving your sleep?
Hare Krishna, Sagari Mataji.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my humble obeisances. Mataji, it's like a feast to our ears. Your class and your singing. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this very nectarian class. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna,
It was
Mataji.
announced that Akura goes to Vrindavan. So then I thought Akura visits Vrindavan. And I thought maybe you will change the subject. Yeah, you were talking about Uddhava goes to Vrindavan, visits the Vrindavan, but then it was announced that the Akrura visits Vrindavan. So I said, it was
No,
very
I
nice.
think
Thank you. Yeah.
I think later they made a correction. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe devotees wanted to hear that again. I don't know, Padmasakhi, maybe it was your turn again. Yeah.
Hare Krishna ji, Ji Sukha Sagari Mataji, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Mataji, it's very hard to explain the emotions of Uddhava and all the gopis. He just watching that how much love all the gopis, Gwalas, Nanda Baba, Yasoda Maya, and all the Brijwasis. It is like tears is not stop in Uddhava. Uddhava's eyes that he think that I am a senior Vaishnava, but then when he see the bhav of all the gopis and Gwala, then he understands that how sincere they are. It is hard to explain, but you are explaining so nicely with all the PPT, Mataji, and that is Brahmara Gita. Trust me, Mataji, my daughter is working in night shift. She come and sit to hear that Brahmara Gita because I am so selfish. I keep in a big voice of every afternoon and morning class so that all the rooms are down so that all my family member will hear and she's hearing like this. Can you please sing Brahmara Gita by all senior Vaishnava permission 2-3 minutes? Hari Hari Gauranga Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam Mataji. Thank you Mataji for your association and blessing.
Thank you, Mataji, for your kind words. And yes, Mataji, I can sing like 2 or 3 stanzas again if the organizers are okay with it later.
Mataji, please sing, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Please sing. It was wonderful to listen from you. At least
Sure,
with
Mataji.
this weight. Yeah, please sing, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sukha Sagari Mataji.
Hare
Beautiful
Krishna,
class.
Mataji.
Beautiful class you gave, Mataji. Such wonderful explanations. And you are a natural speaker, Mataji. Whenever you speak, always you explain so nicely. It just keeps me engrossed. I keep on hearing and hearing. And with your narrative, you made this beautiful cake and you put a cherry on top it by your singing. It was so wonderful to listen to your singing. So please sing, Mataji, again. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Sometimes I feel, I mean, not sometimes, all the time, I feel it's just by all your kind encouragement that I feel motivated to learn more and more, like these shlokas and stutis and Geetam, just to please the Lord and the devotees. So I'm so indebted to all of you. Vinita, every time I just send a recording, she wouldn't take more than half hour, she'd immediately put it on YouTube, put the lyrics there, and create a video. Like, I mean, I'm so indebted to all of you for actually motivating me and keeping me, because of late I've been busy with other material things. And like I said, this opportunity actually gave me the impetus to take time off and, concentrate again on, scriptures and more reading. So I'm indebted to all of you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances on Lord Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj's. Mataji, I have a doubt. Can I ask Mataji? Then
Sure, Mataji. I'll try my best to answer. If I don't know, there are many seniors on the call who can help.
First of all, thank you so much. Such a beautiful, your class had so much of poise, Mataji. It was going in, it was just perfect to the ears. And thank you so much for bringing this topic in such a beautiful way, Mataji. My doubt is like when you mentioned that those who leave everything for Krishna, Krishna themselves, you said that they were acting on behalf of Krishna was acting on behalf of them. For them, they did not take care of their material things, right? Did I get it correct, Mataji?
Yes, that's what is explained, right, in that verse. When Krishna says that I am sustaining them personally, he specifically tells this to Uddhava, right? He says that, these gopis would not be, there if not for him personally sustaining. That's what is.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, Mataji, though I partially know the answer, maybe I understand it a little bit, but I would like to hear it from you again. Like when it comes to us, why do we have to be so materially, like before coming to Krishna consciousness, devotees will say, come to Krishna consciousness. And when you come to Krishna consciousness, they say, be practical, be practical. I'm talking about my personal struggle, Mataji. So, but when we read scripture, we are in spiritual world. When we come out of the classes over, we are meant to be in the material world and do everything material. I mean, I understand I am not at that level. So if I leave things, I will not be able to sustain after that. But then I would like to hear your thought on it, Mataji. Is it okay?
Yes, Mataji, as long as we are in this material world, we, like, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sharira Yatra Pichate. So we have to maintain our physical bodies and carry out several functions, and we have to act within the system of Varnashrama Dharma. And Lord Krishna also says that I myself, Yadyat Acharati Shrestha, he says that I also do all these things when I appear in this material world. We see that he actually, after Krishna kills Kamsa, his father Vasudev, he sends him to Sandipni Muni ashram to actually learn the 64 arts. So what's the need for Lord Krishna? He's the supreme, he is the Lord himself, but he goes through that, and in 64 days he learns the 64 arts. So he's carrying out all the emotions there. And we also, like you said, it's difficult to strike that balance between material and spiritual activities. But so many examples of Janaka Maharaj, I know how he was practicing his Varnashrama Dharma perfectly, and he's listed as one of the 12 Mahajans because he was very exemplary in his practice. And we also see how the several kings, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, like Prithu Maharaj, and so many kings who are doing their duties so dutifully, and at the same time able to, concentrate and focus their energies on the Lord. Um, so I do understand, Mataji, is like a tightrope balance for many of us, because there's a tendency to fall either way. And that constant battle, I think, is what makes it all the more interesting. And I mean, like you rightly said, we definitely need the association of devotees, without which I don't think it's possible to advance in spiritual life by our own motivation. So, yeah, as long as we are in the association of devotees, somewhere Krishna will send the message. Once I have this practical experience. There was Bhakti Vriksha, and I was not feeling too well. And I was thinking, should I go or not go? Should I go or not go? And then I just took the chance, and the last minute I just went to the Bhakti Vriksha. And you won't believe, I had some allergy issue or some problem, and one Prabhu there for out of the blue, he came and he gave me, he told me that there is some medication for this allergy which will help you, like I'm like, what? Out of nowhere, like I was not even going to go to the class. So somewhere Krishna will, through devotees also, he tries to sustain us, help us, and if we take that one step, I feel that he takes so many more steps towards us, and he keeps us, there. And this, I think all of us may have experienced in our services, like we are kind of hesitant, oh, do I need to do this or no, or am I up to it, am I feeling good? But then you just go and take the plunge, and then Krishna carries us through, right? So yes, Mataji, like I don't know if I answered your question, but yes, there is this constant struggle, and like Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Atyahara, we have to regulation is key in Krishna consciousness, and we have to carry our duties, practical duties, and also make time, for everything. Like we, of course, the advantage is, if we are not too much exposed to the material world, if we have the luxury of, staying at home, we can, one way or the other, even when we are doing our practical daily duties, we can be thinking of Lord Krishna, listening to Krishna Katha, and that way enriching or purifying our activities. But yeah, I do understand on a practical level, if people have to go out and work, it's not so easy, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. That's a wonderful, wonderful answer. And once again, beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you. And please sing, Mataji. Hare Krishna Dandavad Pranam.
Mataji, you said you kind of know half the answer. I would like to listen what you have to share, Mataji, if it's okay with you.
No, because Mataji, I'll tell you where the struggle is. If you one side you see Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they were having wonderful material life and they were devotee too, but they left it. So we have the example of both. For me, I just, I swing between which example is it Pratap Rudra or whom to follow, whether it is Sanatan Goswami I mean, when it comes to higher, I'm way too low, but as an ideal, I'm saying, you have somebody to look up to. That's what I was thinking, like, one way it's very beautiful to be in Krishna consciousness. Like as you said, if you have the luxury to be at home, I live right next to the temple, Kalachanji Dham, and I'm at home by Krishna's mercy so far. But when it comes to material thing, it is like, why do I have to think? And I so many times I forget to ask practical things from my Prabhu, and he will say, you did not even ask. Then it's like it's I don't know. It is difficult to express. So sometimes I just wonder, am I good? If you read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, do not renounce before you were supposed to, otherwise, and so many things. And then again, you read Srimad Bhagavatam, these stories, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So my struggle is where to go. Like that was my question. And as you said, whatever you answered, that was my understanding too, Mataji, that we as a mother, as we are living in a house, we have to do so many other things as a responsibility. Some we do full-heartedly, some we do not so full-heartedly. But as you said, it's a struggle and balance. Hopefully, someday, by all of your blessings and mercy, I may get the balance. But right now, it's a struggle for me, and that's why the question was, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, again. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Sorry, Mataji, please go ahead.
No, so because I just wanted to add something, but you go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was listening to this class by Nitai Sevni Mataji. One student, he also had a similar question, like, how do I manage my time? I have so much to study, and how do I do? And then Mataji gave this answer that, do you think that you have to brush your teeth, you have to eat, you have to do all this? So Krishna consciousness must come that naturally to you, that you don't feel it like you have to make time. So until I think it becomes such a natural process, it is going to be a struggle. And by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, hopefully we reach that stage where it becomes so natural and second nature to us, and we don't have to keep switching. We don't feel that we're switching between, and because I think this I too had these questions quite a bit, and all the time I have these questions, and I feel that it's all there in the mind. And when I was doing my master's also, at one point I was not able to chant I was not initiated then, but I used to chant 16 rounds all these years. So, but I was not able to chant. So I talked to a senior devotee at a temple and I told him, I feel miserable because there's so much to study and I'm not able to chant, but I do want to chant. And that Prabhuji, he just told me, you just have to do what you have to do, just by thinking and lamenting doesn't help. So that kind of, I don't know, it just gave me a lot of strength and solace. And so after that, I somehow tried to make time to chant, even though the exam, I said, whatever grade I get is okay. I mean, somewhere, like you said, we have to draw the line. It's not easy always, I do admit, like you say, it's a constant struggle. Yeah, Shuryasya Dhara, that's what they compare bhakti to, right? Like the edge of Shurasya Dhara, the edge of a sword or the blade, of the knife. So it is a very tightrope walk there. Yeah. Sorry, Mataji, you can please continue, finish.
Yes, I just wanted to add, if it's okay.
Please, Mataji.
I was just thinking, I was reading the Nectar of Instruction recently that the most important thing is attitude. So I was just thinking that, we have to get out of this idea of thinking that that my life is separate, my quote unquote material life is separate from my spiritual life. So that's one thing. We're all put in a certain body, in a certain family, in a certain situation because of something. So we obviously have to go through that in order to get to bhakti. Even that is something we have to work off in a sense. So if instead of, one thing which we have a habit of doing is seeing the negative. Oh, I haven't done this. Oh, I haven't done that. I have to do this. I have so many responsibilities, material responsibilities, that I can't do my devotional service. So this mindset has to change. I think that's part of the thing, is that we have to realize these are certain duties. It's like almost the minimum exercises that we have to do in order to get to a state where we're very healthy. So all these material things we have to do, we have to go through these. And in that process, balance with our spiritual life. Yes. How do we maintain at least some of my spiritual responsibility, or spiritual, chanting my rounds, those bare minimum, we as long as we keep those bare minimum, continue doing those and do those material things without feeling like they are getting in the way of my spiritual life. What happens is we concentrate on that and we forget what we're able to do. So I'm just thinking it's an idea of attitude also. So, and that's coming from personal experience, because I would always be thinking, oh, I wish I could, do that. I wish I could go to the temple and do this, but I had so many responsibilities. But when I got out of that mindset of thinking, I wish I could, instead of enjoying, oh my God, today I get to cook for the deities, the one day I get to cook. But then we concentrate on those positive moments and they become more and more. Krishna will replenish those more and more. Is what I, from personal experience, I want to say, because yes, we all have a lot of responsibilities and we all would like to run away and go live at the temple and not have to do anything, but that's not real life, right? So thank you, Mataji. It was just, I hope that I just wanted to add that, just a personal experience. I don't know if it helps.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. It was so nice to hear your class. But I just wanted to also piggyback on Praneshri Mataji's comment just now, because it was very similar to something that I wanted to express also, that, my understanding is that, we don't have to always be feeling like we're torn between material and spiritual activities, because even those practical, quote unquote, material things that we have to do can also be spiritual if we recognize them as being in support of our spiritual endeavors. So anything that supports our spiritual endeavors, even though they look like mundane activities, they become spiritual. So nothing has to be material at all. Not brushing your teeth, not cooking, not not bathing. There's nothing that has to be material. Everything can be spiritual. So that can kind of take away that tug of war that we might sometimes feel between material and spiritual life. And this way, everything can be spiritual, really. And, and um, the other thing is that, we do need to do certain things that look mundane because we're still conditioned, because we're, on the path. We have to do things to keep our minds peaceful enough to remain focused and focus in our spiritual endeavors. So it's kind of like we have to take in order to give sometimes. But if the objective is to be more focused on our spiritual activities, I think those material things that we're doing, in that way, those can become spiritual also, because of we're keeping the objective in mind. We're not seeing the material things as ends in themselves. So I don't know if I communicated clearly, but that's what I
Yes,
wanted.
Mataji, you're right. You were saying that we could use the principle of Yukta Vairagya and spiritualize our material activity.
Yeah. Boy, I could have spared all that breath and just said Yukta Vairagya. You put it in a nutshell.
No, Mataji, you explained so beautifully. But I was just thinking when I was listening to you that dovetail is such a tricky word that Srila Prabhupada uses, and for a wicked mind like mine, I would find all possible ways to dovetail everything to Krishna conscious and say, yeah, this I need to do this and this and this, just like that story of that that Brahmana who leaves his disciple, to take care, and he goes away for some time, and the disciple then buys a cow and then a cat, a dog, and then gets married, and gives all kinds of reasons like that. For a wicked person like me, I would try to give all kinds of reasons. So yeah, but like you rightly said, it is possible to dovetail and with the right guidance and instruction and in the association of devotees. Thank you so much for
you put that so much better than I did, because you also pointed out the pitfalls that we can run into. So thank you. Thank you for a much better explanation than how I put it.
Thank you, Mataji, for your kind association.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Sagari Mataji. I did have a question which I wanted to ask, but I forgot to ask. So this is related to the class. When you were talking about how Yogamaya covers Devaki and Vasudeva also from time to time, that is when they saw Krishna, when they were released from the jail, when Krishna came to save them, they offered their obeisances, but then eventually Yogamaya covers, and then they also forget that Krishna is actually the Supreme Lord. So that is one side of the story. The other side is we also have Yashoda, and when she sees the universal form of Krishna in the mouth, she's like stunned and startled, and then again Yogamaya covers her the impression that she has seen, and she forgets. So now we have two people who have, both Nanda, Yashoda, as well as Vasudeva and Krishna. Now we say for both of them, from time to time, Yogamaya covers them, right? Now, when we talk about the difference in their relationship between Yashodananda and Devaki Vasudeva, we say Devaki Vasudeva is more on the Aishwarya platform, right? Over Nanda and Yashoda, who think that, oh, this is my child, and they are very spontaneous. So, but it appears to me that both of them are undergoing the same sort of a emotion in one sense, that Yogamaya comes over and covers. So is it the intensity that is actually the factor? In what I'm asking is it more like for Yashoda and Nanda, the intensity of he's my child is higher over the intensity of this is God and Yogamaya coming and covering them? versus Devaki and Vasudev's intensity that this is God who is my child is higher. So I'm not able to get it because it all appears to be so similar. Then why are they, classified in different modes? That is the question.
Yes, Mataji, I'll try to answer this question. With reference to some things I read regarding, this topic. It may not be complete, but whatever I read, I can share. In one of the purports, when after killing Kamsa, Krishna, there's this question. Prabhupada says that question arises that why couldn't Krishna have called Nanda and Yashoda, and had them stay with him in Mathura? And, and then, he could have had loving relationships with both, Vasudeva, Devaki, and also Nanda, Yashoda. But then there is a difference in the rasa. I'm not sure of the technical details of what kind of differences are there, but he didn't want the rasas to mix. This is what is being explained. And that's why he didn't, there are several other reasons which is also given, like, because Kamsa was killed and, his two daughters were widowed. And so Jarasandha wanted to take revenge, because his daughters were widowed, and Krishna knew that this attack was, going to come. And so he wanted to stay back to protect the citizens of Mathura, and so many like technical reasons. But also Prabhupada explains that, the rasa in which Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda were, if they were to be brought to Mathura and stayed together with, there would be some clash in that rasa. And so Krishna did not want, because for his pastimes, it would not be very conducive to have both of them together. So from like what you said, there does appear to be some difference in the rasa, and that's why Krishna told Nanda Maharaj to go back, after the killing of Kamsa, he says. So Nanda Maharaj goes back to Vrindavan with his cowherd men, and Krishna says that now, he goes and begs forgiveness from his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, that he deprived them and he put them through so much danger. And so he begs forgiveness. So there is some difference in Rasa, Mataji, from what I understand from the purport.
Yeah, I think I get an idea. Like when you said the term rasa, yeah, it could be interfering for them because they're so used to seeing Krishna as a little cowherd boy, and to see him as a prince and interact with him in that sense definitely would be different. Yeah. Yes, Mataji. I think I get an idea. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
You asked so high level questions. I don't know the answers many times.
No, it's just something that came to my mind when you were talking. So I thought about it, but I forgot, but then I remembered again. So I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, this is what I read, Mataji. I mean, when regarding why, the question of why couldn't Krishna have gotten all those people together and, spend time with all of them. So Prabhupada explains that there would be some kind of a rasabhas. So Krishna didn't want that. So.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Preeti.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, are there any questions or they want to share your realizations with Mataji regarding today's class?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Mataji, thank you so much for the beautiful pastime, and I can understand that you don't sleep and you can just give a class even without sleeping. So such a nice, such a nice rendition after that night out. So nice, Mataji, so nice that you covered these esoteric pastimes and helped us understand the nuances to this pastime. And I really love one thing, apart from singing, of course, that was so melodious and it was soothing in itself. And after that, the class you gave resounded with the singing for me, and it was reverberating. And so I could just feel that in the class, throughout the class. After that Brahma-Breed portion, I was just completely mesmerized. Oh my God, can somebody sing like this, like that? And then Mataji, your humility is so much. I wish I can just imbibe 1% of what you have. Even if somebody does such small thing, you magnify to a proportion that really, Mataji, I really don't have any words. I wish that I imbibe that quality of yours and be able to depict that every day. Mataji, this is it is so heart touching and heartwarming to see this humility coming from you, and I sincerely pray to the Lordships that I imbibe that quality of yours, Mataji, and always giving credits to devotees and always praising and glorifying them. Not a single class you have not glorified a devotee. So that is my understanding, Mataji, through the personal interactions with you and after this class and so many classes I have attended of yours, and this one quality strikes me a lot, and I totally want to imbibe that quality of yours, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna, Radhika, for all your kind help as always. I don't want to reiterate and embarrass you, but yeah, you always, like there as soon as you know that I'm giving a class or something, the first person perhaps to ask me is Mataji, do you need any help? Even last night, you were like, Mataji, do you need any help? Every time, you talk to me like, do you need any help? I mean, so forthcoming and so kind and affectionate. So grateful to you for that. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, wonderful class, Mataji. I mean, I'm still not out of the song. You have put me in a trance. I'm still not able to. It's so wonderful. The class also, the subject, and whatever your slides and what you spoke, and the song is, as Vrinda Mataji said, it's a cherry on the cake. Wonderful question and answer sessions. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very, very enlivening association.
Mataji, I'm looking forward to your class.
Oh, Krishna, I want all your help.
Mataji, you are so, like all the leelas on your fingertips,
Yeah, it's only in the fingertips, Mataji. Nothing comes to the heart. I have to
the heart
get
it will
from
come to the fingertips.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very wonderful association.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So Priya Mataji, if there are no other questions, I'll just sing 2 stanzas because devotees had requested, and then we can end the class.
Yes, Mataji, I'm also waiting, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
गोप्यवाच मधुपाकिटवबन्धो मा स्पृशाङ्घ्रिं सपत्न्याः कुचविलुलितमाला कुङ्कुमश्मश्रुभिर्नः वहतु मधुपतिस्तन् मानिनीना प्रसादम् यदु सदसि विडम्ब्यम् यस्य दूतस्त्वमीदृक् सकृदधरसुधा त्वां मोहिनीं पाययित्वा सुमनस इव सद्याः तत्यजेस्मान् भवादृक् परिचरति कथं तत्पादपद्मपद्मा ह्यपिबत हृतचेता हि उत्तमश्लोकजल्पैः किमिह बहुषढङ्ग्रे गायसि त्वं यदूनाम् अधिपतिमग्रहाणाम् अग्रतो नः पुराणम् विजय सखि सखीनां गीयतां तत्प्रसङ्गः क्षपितकुचरुजस्ते कल्पयन्तीष्टम् इष्ठाः दिवि भुवि च रसायां का स्त्रियस्तद्दुरापाः कपटरुचिरहासा भ्रूविजृम्भस्य यास्युः चरणरज उपास्ते यस्य भूतिर्वयं का अपि च कृपणपक्षे उत्तम श्लोक शब्दाः विसृज शिरसि पादं वेद्म्यहं चाटुकारैः अनुनय विदुषस्ते भेत्य दौत्ये मुकुन्दात् स्वकृत इह वृषिष्ठापत्यपत्यन्यलोका व्यसृजद कृतचेता किं नु सन्धेयम् अस्मिन् मृगयुरिव कपीन्द्रं विव्यधे लुब्धधर्मा स्त्रियमकृतविरूपां स्त्रीजितः कामयाना बलिमपि बलिमत्वा वेष्टयत् फांक्षवद्यः तदलमसितसख्यैः दुस्त्यजस्तत् कथार्थः यदनुचरितलीला कर्णपीयूषविप्रूढ सकृददनविधूता द्वन्द्वधर्मा विनष्टाः सपदि गृहकुटुम्बं दीनमुत्सृज्य दीना बहव इह विहङ्गा भिक्षुचर्यां चरन्ति वयमृतमिव जिह्मा व्याहृतं श्रद्धदानाः कुलिकरुतमिवाज्ञा कृष्णवद्वो हरिण्यः ददृशुरसकृते तत् तन्नखस्पर्शतीव्रा स्मररुज उपमन्त्रिन् भण्यतामन्यवार्ता प्रियसख पुनरागाः प्रेयसा प्रेषितः किं वरय किमनुरुन्धे मानिनीयोऽसि मेऽङ्ग नयसि कथमिहास्मान् दुस्त्यजद्वन्वपार्श्वं सततमुरसि सौम्या श्रीर्वधू साकमास्ते अपि बत मधुपूर्याम् आर्यपुत्रोऽधुनास्ते स्मरति स पितृगेहान् सौम्या बन्धुं च गोपान् क्वचिदपि स कथान् किङ्करीणां गृणीते भुजमगुरुसुगन्धं मूर्धदास्यत् कदा नु Hari Bol Mataji. Thank you.
Mataji, please accept my Dandavat Pranam. What a beautiful song, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for again on her request singing this melodious Brahmara Geet. Thank you so much, Mataji. So with this note, Mataji, I would like to...
Hare Krishna Mataji, sorry to interrupt. I just took some time to come out from my office work. It's so soothing, Mataji. I just wanted to tell you this. It's really peaceful. It's giving a lot of peace to my soul. Such a nice voice and such a nice narration, Mataji. Thank you so much. I feel so blessed that I really attended this session. It's really nice. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your kind
Please
words.
accept my Dandavat pranams, Mataji.
That will pranams to you too, Mataji. All goes to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much. So with this, I would like to pay my obeisance to the assembled devotees.
वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा
सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो अनन्तकोटि वैष्णव जय श्री
श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, कृष्ण कथा मेला की जय, हर ग्रेस
Sukha Sagari
सुख
Mataji ki
सागरी
jai.
माता जी की जय।
Jai.
जय। थैंक यू सो मच।